Welcome to the Real Estate Tech Show, where two of the nation's top experts on real estate share with you their favorite tech tools, tips, and tricks to help you explode your real estate business in productivity and profits. So get strapped in, because Cory and Joe are about to lead you behind the curtain of the most relevant and effective real estate investing tools and strategies on the planet, starting right now.
What is going on, Joe?
Hey, Cory, how you doing, man?
Joe McCall!
That's right.
I love it.
That's right.
Love it. All right, so where are you in? Where are you today? Are you still in St. Louis today?
I'm in St. Louis today, and this is our official #1 episode, right?
Yes.
And you are in Oklahoma City, right?
That's right. Yep.
Cool.
Right in the greater OKC area. So we're only about 6 hours from each other. You know that Nelly is from St. Louis?
Yeah. But I always get like him and 50 Cent confused.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, he was the one. It going down, down, baby. On, down, down. And that was he was like really popular in that song. And then what other song did he write?
I have no idea, man.
Right. I guess we should talk about real estate and tech, though, right?
No, let's talk about real estate.
Right. So this is episode 1, and episode essentially 0. If you hadn't watched that one, that's basically just kind of the introduction of why Joe and I have decided to do this podcast and team up. And I'm excited about it because I'm passionate. I know Joe's passionate about real estate investing, but we're also really big nerds when it comes to geeking out over the new technologies. And I'm talking about to the point right now where I'm like sending Joe messages on this new VR that's coming out that Zuckerberg announced recently. And I promise you what is going to happen is that is going to be a disruptor. And we're going to see more and more, information marketing businesses really start to embrace this, and you're going to start seeing other industries, small businesses, and startups embrace it. And I just love the idea of technology and using it as this model and seeing this innovation that you can use to make things more efficient, so you can create more time. I mean, Joe and I both created our real estate businesses so it could serve us, not us serve it, not us be a slave to that business. And Joe, I don't know about you, but don't you see from either the students that you coach or even just people that you have conversations with whenever they're running businesses, they tend to make these businesses and they create this jail cell around them where maybe they might even be profitable, but they have no life.
Yeah. So if technology does not serve you and give you more time freedom, then you're doing something wrong. So you got to make sure that technology is a tool that can give you back your life, can give you more time, more freedom. And then whatever technology can't help you with, then you need to delegate that out to somebody else to do it for you. So I say there's the 3 keys to success in this business: marketing, automation, and delegation. And so automation plays a big part in this, obviously, but marketing is the most important thing. I often say we're not in the real estate business, we're in the marketing business. And then you have automation in the middle, right? You need systems, you need technology and tools to automate your business, right? But whatever you can't automate, you need to delegate. And so those 3 parts in this, I geek out over the technology part, the automation part. There are so many awesome tools here. Technology is changing rapidly. We spend way too much time, Cory, you and I, just geeking out over the latest technology and the tools. And hey, have you seen this? Have you seen this? What about this? And so that's why I'm excited about this show, though, is we get to kind of geek out together. And maybe there's somebody else out there who's interested in this stuff. Who knows? I think there might be. And this is going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it. And today what we're going to do is I'm actually going to interview you, Joe. I'm going to interview you and kind of find out what your story is. And I think it would be interesting for some of those that don't know who you are and how much you've been such a big contributor to so many people's success in their real estate business. Also, I know that you're part of Life and Air, and there's big things going on there with Sean McCloskey. And both of us are great friends with him. And actually kind of how you and I met is from Sean. And I think it's just going to be a great episode today to have people kind of get a little 10,000-foot view of what's going on in your life with your family and the kids that are adopted. And I'm excited to be able to talk with you about some of these things in your life, because I think that's going to really set a good foundation for why someone, almost give them permission of why someone should listen to you, listen to me, because of the things that we've been through and what we're going through right now in our lives, and how we have these businesses and how we have had these failures and successes and failures. But using technology has been an actual huge benefit because it's a tool, and it's something that either you'll let it control you or you control the technology, right? It's just like your cell phone. This thing can be a detriment to your life, an absolute just a tug on your time and just ruin your life, really. Or you can turn it off, right? And then you can use it whenever you see fit, right? And I know that's simplified, but Joe, technology is such a key part of really everything moving forward in life, and sometimes for the better, and sometimes obviously for the worse for some things. But I think we figure it out as we go. And at the bottom, at the end of the day, it's just a tool. Do you have anything to say about that before we get going?
It is. It's just a tool, and it's a. For me, I found it makes my life a lot easier. But if I'm not careful, I'm looking at my phone and I'm not looking at my kids or my wife. If I'm not careful, I'm geeking out at 6 o'clock trying to figure out this new software, this new website tool to do something when I should be in the house hanging out with my family. So I totally get it. Yeah. But listen, we should mention too, Cory, we forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, we have a PDF toolbox.
Our toolbox.
Toolbox that people can get. Our top 10 favorite technology tools for that we use in the real estate space. And people can get that by texting the word tech to 38470. 38470. Text the word tech and we'll get that over to you. I'm excited about that. And I know it's going to be really cool. It's just a 1 or 2 page PDF. But in there we'll actually have little links that you can watch if you want to. Little extra videos that show you how we use these tools. So it's going to be a good resource. It's hard to come down. We're each going to have 5. You're going to have 5. I'm going to have 5. And it's really it was difficult coming down with just 5, but we did it.
Yeah, we don't want to give fluff. We want to give you things that actually work, things that we're using in our business today, or things that we've used in the past and really had some success with it. And for whatever reason, we moved on or used another tool. So, all right, Joe, I'm pumped about this, man. You and I met, I would say, probably in 2009, 2008 or 2009.
I think it was 2009, 2010, but
okay, so 2009, 2010, and 9 years ago, and it was through a great friend of ours, Sean McCloskey, that runs Life and Air now. I know you're a big part of that as well. And he runs that with Steve Cook. Yeah. And he wrote a book called Life and Air, which is incredibly impactful. We're going to have a link actually to Life and Air on our reitechno.com website. So we're working on adding more things to make that site just incredibly resourceful for you. So make sure you always bookmark that site. But he's a great friend, and I was coming to speak at, I think it was in St. Louis. Yeah. And Sean had a short sale event. Essentially, had a event that was about short sales. And the interesting thing was, when Sean and I met, we were competitors, and then as it went on, we became great friends. And no one was really talking about the short sales in that time, which was around 2007 or 8. And I was working on a product, and Sean and I were talking about going in on it together. And at that time, I had my own course called Short Sale Fundamentals, which we ended up selling over 2,500 of those courses.
Wow.
Over a period of time, and that was exciting. And I was there, and you came to pick me up.
Yeah.
And that's where you and I first met.
I remember I was so nervous because you were the big speaker guru guy, and and so Sean asked me to pick you up, and you know, I was just new into the business, and I had followed you and a bunch of other people on the speaker circuit, and you were one of the featured speakers at the at event for Sean, and so I was all excited. I got my car cleaned, you know, and I was picking you up at the airport, and so I wanted to get you a bottled
water.
I wanted to get you a bottled water because you're always thirsty when you get off a plane. And so I'm at the gas station or whatever, and like I can't get like one of these cheap, flimsy bottled water. So I remember I got like the expensive $3 bottled water. That's like
like Fuji water.
Yeah,
was it Fuji water?
I don't remember exactly, but it was the nicest one they had. I think it was like the square bottle, you know,
right,
with the fancy top and. But yeah, it was fun. We just hung out, and I think at the time too, I had I just came out with my wholesaling lease options course, teaching people how to flip lease options, which I had been doing for a while, and so I was hoping to get some feedback from you, and you did. I don't remember exactly what you said, but I remember you giving me some advice about, you know, how to promote the course and how to make it better and how to help people, and so. Yeah, that was a long time ago, man. That was a long time ago. And I remember the car I had. It was an old Honda Accord, and it was this little dinky car.
There's nothing wrong with Honda Accords, man. They're still incredibly reliable. Consumer Reports has them as like the top 3, one of the most reliable cars. But yeah, so I remember that, and then you. I mean, it was such a quick kind of meet and greet.
Yeah.
That, and then later on in life, all of a sudden, Joe starts to really hop on the kind of, I don't know, a speaking wagon, but just really creating products. And all of a sudden, he starts popping up online more, and he starts to become a bigger presence and more exposure. And I mean, from there, I mean, we could go into many, many details, but I mean, from the broad stroke, today, tell us what you've got going on from then and then today, or where you are, Joe.
Yeah, so I've always been, well, let me just tell you, I kind of started with, I loved real estate, and I wanted to have my own business. I wanted to be my own guy. So I started flipping lease options. Started doing really well. I was making more money than I was in my full-time job, and I had a degree in civil engineering. And I was working for an electrical contractor doing scheduling for large power plants. So I was making good money, about $85,000 a year, but I was just frustrated, and I was always trying to do real estate while I was working my full-time job, and that was creating conflicts of interest. And I was working pretty much 2 jobs, right? Trying to do real estate. And at the same time, this was 2008, 2009, and this is when the market was crashing, and so I had a lot of debt. I was in a world of hurt. I had a lot of rental properties, and so I was really trying hard to learn wholesaling, which is flipping properties quickly, flipping contracts. So anyway, it was right about that time you mentioned Sean McCloskey and Steve Cook, and they talked about creating a vision for your life first and then designing a business around that. So at the very beginning in 2009, I was very intentional. I created what I wanted my life to look like. And then I said, well, how can I create a business that supports that? Most of us get it backwards. We have the business first, and life fits in around that. So I said, well, we want to travel. We want to travel the world. We want to homeschool our kids so that we can travel, and we live wherever we want and just take vacations whenever we want. I love the phrase of nomadic entrepreneurship, you know, a digital nomad.
A digital nomad.
So I started thinking about these things, and I knew in St. Louis then I had to know how to flip deals without seeing the house, without talking to the sellers, without talking to the buyers. And so I started doing that in my own backyard, and I thought, well, man, if I can wholesale houses without seeing the sellers, without seeing the house, without talking to buyers, then I can do this in any market across the country from anywhere in the world. So we started traveling, and our first trip we took with our 4 kids was in 2011, 2012, and we were gone for about 2 or 3 months in Prague, flipping deals in the United States. And then a couple years after that, we took a 3-month RV trip around the northwestern corner of the U.S. We're flipping
Incredible.
deals from our RV. And then just
Incredible.
last year, we were in Prague again for 3 months, traveling around Europe a lot, doing deals again while there. So we're still doing deals now, and we're still doing it. But I could not do it without technology, you know? And
well, let's
my
give
team.
credit where credit's due, Joe, on this too. Our good friend, and oftentimes we get in battles between PC and Mackie and I, but Cris Chico, right?
Oh,
Cris
yes.
Chico was one of really I would say almost the godfathers,
Yes.
at least to me, whenever I started seeing this kind of movement of real estate and technology and virtual, right? Doing virtual investing and Chico was one of the guys that really, I think, put the foundation on that. And I know that you learned from Chico, and I've learned from Chico as well from that virtual concept. And so, it was something you started to embrace in a big way and built your whole life around it, which I thought was just really cool.
Chico and I are friends now. We're both friends with him. But when he came out with his course, it was like 2009.
Right.
He came out with virtual wholesaling. I think he called it absentee owner profits at the beginning. And I remember, it's funny, there's another guru, and I won't say who he was. He released some audio from one of his boot camps. And Cris Chico was one of the kids, the young guys, you could tell he was young, that came up to the mic and was asking a question. And he asked a question to this guru, I've been wanting to, can you do deals like without actually seeing the house or talking to this, or without seeing the house, I think is what the question was. And this guru totally cut him down. I wish I had this audio somewhere. And the guru said, no, that's ridiculous. You have to go see the house. You have to meet the seller face to face. And but you can recognize Chico's voice. He's got a distinct Puerto Rican accent. And so sure enough, about a year later, he comes out with this course. He's doing it because the market's tanking in Florida. And he's flipping deals now in other states around the country. And when I heard about this, I like, that's interesting. And I went at the time there was flippinghouses.com or flippinghomes.com, I think was the website. That was like the big active forum at the time. And people were bashing.
There was HUD. Remember Easy HUD, Chris Daigle.
Yes.
Right. Chris Daigle had that, and that's where Sean and I actually were posting a lot on Easy HUD. And then Daigle and Chico either were partners or they eventually started working together.
Yeah. Well, people on those forums and discussion boards were bashing the whole concept of virtual wholesaling. Like, you can't do it in another market. That's ridiculous. Right. These are gurus, guys just trying to sell you the latest and greatest tricks, And I remember thinking that's, I don't know, man, I like this idea. I think it can be done. And I believed Chico that he could do it. So this was at a point in my life where I was like, I was a course guru junkie. I went to all the boot camps. I bought all the courses. I was spending way more money on education than I was actually making.
I think I think a lot of entrepreneurs, my hands up too. I mean, and at this point, over $200,000 in courses and programs. And so I think I'll make.
Right. So what I did, though, is I said, I'm going to buy one more course, I said. And I'm going to do what this guy says to do, and I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to do what he says. I'm not going to question it. I'm going to use his ugly postcards. I'm going to make his stupid offers. I'm going to ask his silly questions. I didn't like it, but I'm just going to do it because I was in this thing where I was always changing things and trying to do this guy's stuff, part of this guy's stuff, and part of this guy's stuff, and part of this guy's stuff.
Well, and we think we're smarter, right?
Yes.
I'm smarter than that person, right? Yeah.
Totally. So we're very alike. But it wasn't until then, and it was Chico's course. I bought his course on virtual wholesaling, and he was teaching how to use technology and how to set up these really amazing systems and stuff. And that's what got me hooked. And then I started doing deals. My first deal was a $12,000 flip on a house. I made every mistake possible, and somehow still I did it just because I was taking action. And I started flipping a lot of deals. And it's at that point I knew I wanted a virtual automated wholesaling business. I wanted a business where I didn't have an office. I didn't have staff and overhead. I wanted to be able to work from anywhere in the world And I've been able to do that. It's amazing with technology, with outsourcing. I've been able to do deals from all over the world, literally, from a beach in Spain, from a cafe in Prague, from the local Starbucks, from my backyard. It's just, that's why I love this business. I'm so passionate about this stuff because I know if it helped me, it can help a lot of other people out there.
Joe, were you at a virtual investing seminar 1 or 2? Did
No,
you ever go to those?
I have the recordings right back there. It's funny. I've never listened to them, but I have them.
That was really the moment, I think, when that was put together. I think Daigle was one of the first guys that really put that.
Yep.
And Cris was one of my first affiliates, and even told me the concept of encouraging me, Cris Daigle, that this was even possible to create a course and to sell and to, this is the easiest way, because at that point.
Yeah, that's another huge thing.
Right.
Everybody had physical courses, and nobody thought that you could have virtual
nothing that was digital, nothing that was really, yeah, exactly. You were getting MP3s and all the physical things, right?
Well, that's when I bought his course. I remember it was like, what, like a username and password, and you're not gonna. Where's the manual? Where's the book? You know where I.
Right.
And but I started watching the videos like, this is really good stuff, you know. And he showed how to do everything step by step. And the cool thing was, the reason why he said we should do this is because he said, I'm continually updating it, right? And so he was updating it with the old way, with manuals and books and CDs. The only way to update stuff was to send stuff to people. So I remember so clearly the backlash that he was getting from other gurus from on the forums.
Yes.
Like, you can't do virtual wholesaling. You can't.
Right, you're a scam. You know, you have to see the house. Right. Yep.
And you can't do a course without any materials and things like that. But so, you know, at the same time, Cory, I was listening to a podcast by these guys. I'm a big Apple fan, and I had the iPhone, and the podcasting things were coming out. And there was only like 1 or 2 real estate investing podcasts in 2009, 2010. So the real estate was kind of okay, but there was some good general internet business types of podcasts, and one of them was my favorite. It was called the Internet Business Mastery. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
With Jason and Jeremy, I think, were the 2 guys. And the internet.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Internet Business Mastery. So they had a course, and they were teaching people how to take the knowledge and put it into an online thing like Chico had done. And I was flipping a lot of lease options. And so I was thinking, oh man, I could do a podcast, talk about what I'm doing, what I'm learning here and how I'm doing it and all that. And I could create an online course. And it was about that time I sat down with Sean McCloskey and I said, hey, I want to come out with a course. I went to one of their Life and Air masterminds, and they all shut me down, Cory. I said, I want to come out with this course called Wholesaling Lease Options. And I'm not kidding. Wendy Patton was there, who's a lease option guru. Super nice lady.
Nice lady.
Another guy, John Heyer, who doesn't really speak and travel anymore, but he was at the time. And
An attorney.
Yes, an attorney.
Works, yep.
Sean McCloskey and Steve Cook and some other guys. And I said, hey, I want to come out with this course called Wholesaling Lease Options. They all said, no, it's a bad idea. Because everybody wants to become a guru, and somebody's just going to copy you, and it's not unique enough, and or it's either too vague or it's too narrow because it was a. So
you were having your Chico moment, weren't you?
What do you mean by that?
Your people were telling you you can't do it. You know
Yes.
It's not going to work, right? You were embracing your Chico moment.
Yes, and I said, well, I think it is going to work because I knew from these guys at Internet Business Mastery. It's important to be niched, right? You need to be niched,
right.
And the more narrow of a niche you can be in, the better, more profitable your business is going to be.
Right.
So I was doing not just lease options, but wholesaling lease options, and so it's a niche within a niche. So I knew this was a unique concept that nobody else was really focusing on. I'm going to give it a shot anyway, and so I came out with this course. Wendy Patton and I became real good friends, and she started asking me to come speak at her thing. Then I started the podcast.
She had a RIA in St. Louis, correct?
No. She would travel and speak at RIAs.
Okay, so she didn't have a RIA in St. Louis. Okay, so there was another lady that had a RIA, I think, in St. Louis that was doing short sales too, wasn't she?
Yeah, let's not talk about her.
Oh, okay. Let's just not talk about her. All right. So
Let's not
anyway,
talk about her.
So Wendy was traveling to come. Okay.
Different reasons. So she invited me to come speak at her boot camps. She interviewed, and she came out with a similar product to mine. But the crazy thing was, she would promote me and I'd promote her, and so we were both doing really well. Okay. And then I created my podcast, and by this time, Sean Terry had come out with his podcast and had maybe 20 episodes. And if it's kind of funny, if you can go back and find them, they weren't that well done. I mean, they were just
no. He even says, I mean, good friends. Obviously, Sean are dear friends, Joe and I, and he'll even confess that they are like, the recordings are bad, the audio's bad, everything's bad about it. But he didn't let that stop him either. No. He got the information out, and interesting enough, a lot of people go back and listen to every single one of your podcasts, and those get a lot of downloads. So, yeah.
So he has this podcast called Flip to Freedom. And at the time, there was really only I'm not kidding, maybe 2 or 3 podcasts that were updated regularly for real estate investing. And so I'm an internet business mastery student. I have their course, And then I contact Sean. I said, hey, I found his phone number. I called him up. I said, hey, I'm Joe McCall. And I love your
Joe
podcast.
McCall!
No, I didn't. There's this joke with Sean Terry and Cory. They always do that when they see me, and only they think it's funny.
Hey, when the phone rang, did it go McCall? McCall? Did you pick up that way?
No.
All right, go ahead. So you called him up, right?
I called Sean. We literally talked for a couple hours. But I said to him, I said, your podcast sounds just like those guys at Internet Business Mastery. Did you buy their course? And he said, no, I just copied everything that they do. So he copied the intro, and how they do it, and then the format and the ending, and so I just realized this guy is one of the fastest, craziest implementers I've ever met. Just massive action.
Massive takers. Implementation. Yes.
So we were talking, and he said to me, Joe, you should come out with there's this book series called The Stock Market Wizards, and it's these guys that wrote a couple books, and in the 90s it was a really popular series of books where they interviewed other people that were making a lot of money in the stock market. And you said you should come out with the real estate investing wizards or something like that. Wow. And I didn't like the word wizard, so I thought, well, how about real estate investing mastery? It's got the keyword in there, and so I could interview other real estate investing masters. And at the time, nobody was really doing that. And the real estate investing podcasts that were there were usually just 1 or 2 guys talking. Occasionally they do an interview. So I decided I'm going to do the format. And so in 2011, I started my podcast, and I actually invited this guy, Alex Youngblood, to be my co-host. And we've never met, but a couple times that we had talked on the phone, he we hit it off. He was an active investor doing virtual wholesaling himself in Virginia. So we were doing similar stuff. And I said, hey, do you want to do this podcast? And he said, yeah, sure. And so we did it. And it wasn't, I'm not kidding, literally 5 years later, I met him for the first time. And we've come out with several hundred episodes. We have 1.3, 1.2, 1.3 million downloads. We have listeners in over 170 different countries. And
awesome.
The podcast has just done really well. Never as well as Sean Terry's, but it's still doing really, really well. And that's been kind of the crazy journey that I've been on. And since then, because we've been traveling, because we've been doing deals virtually, and I've been very open about it on my podcast, talking about it, what we're doing. A lot of people have asked me, hey, show me, teach me how to do what you do. And so I've been coming out, I've created different courses, I've come out with different kind of coaching programs, and I've helped literally thousands of people from all over the world do deals in virtual markets and other markets around the country. We're even coaching realtors now and investors on how to set up automation, how to set up systems to do business virtually. And it's an exciting journey. I love doing it.
I love that. And you have become the master at that domain, right? There's so many folks that I know that will reference you into the conversation of automation, of tools, technology, and so because you're utilizing those things and integrating them in with your investing business, right now you're starting to see, success. And not only that, but now you have scale. So it was about you in the beginning, about helping and just figuring out ways with your family. And so you can travel and create this life, right? And have a business that supported it. Like you said, instead of the reverse way that most entrepreneurs do, we think about the money first, and then we'll go figure out about life later, right? Whatever we have the leftover scraps. But you did it a different way, really the life and their way, if you will.
Yeah.
And from that point, right, then it's working. Now from there, what can I do to serve others with what I've done? How can I duplicate? This thing's working for me now. How can I duplicate and serve others with what is working? And that's what basically now has been the success track for you. And now you're starting to see almost to a place where you're having to turn away people, because now you're having to say, instead of yes to every opportunity, now it's almost like I only say yes to the opportunities that I know are going to meet kind of a certain filter. Before, you're just saying yes to everything because you don't know what your filter is. As you start to get some momentum and you start to have some accomplishment in certain things, then you start to create that filter and what that looks like for you to support that time for your family, support how much actual dollars that do you want to generate for revenue for the year? How much do you want to give away? All these things start to play into that model. And what I love about automation and why we're such geeks about it is because you can learn to do something once and never do it again.
Yeah.
So let me say that one more time, because that is a dun 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 moment.
Yeah.
You can learn to do something once and never do it again. Joe and I have ways that we can teach on the computer, and anything that you do on the computer is recordable.
Yep. Okay.
And so most virtual investing, if you will, of doing things on the computer, is duplicatable.
Yep.
Okay. And it's not just because Joe is a super genius, smart guy, which he's really smart, but that isn't the only reason that the success happened. What happened is he found certain processes, what I call the 3 M's for success: mindset, mechanics, and money. So he's got the right mindset on how I can do it once and never do it again. He's got the mechanics lined up because now they were working for his business. So now how can I set up a system where it works for somebody else, essentially creating that engine? And then the money starts to flow in because of all of the mechanics are there and you set it up in the right way. So I just think what's really incredible about you, Joe, just acknowledgement, is how you're able to not only implement, right, but you also have everything else going on in your life. You've got 4 kids, which, I mean, being a father of 4, I have 2 kids, okay, so 4, and having to go through that in a way where you're present, you are, making time for them, making that important, but then not taking away from the students work with you that also have families, that also have to make it, right? And creating those system and processes that work for them too. And so I'm excited about talking about this automation and how we can serve other people with just the experience that we've had in doing automation with real estate and in these processes from virtual investing. And so, I just think it's incredible to be able to do a show like this, because this is where things are going. More technology is being added into our lives. It isn't less. Yep. And like I said, that can be a good thing, or it can be something that's stressful on you, but it is your choice. It's your choice on whether or not you pick up the phone, right, or you don't. It's your choice whether or not that you let these things, notifications, everything else that comes in, being on social media, all this other stuff, how do you keep up with it? I mean, there's a lot of questions. How do you keep up with social media? How do you keep up with everything else that comes in with your direct mail? How do you keep up with investor relations with buyers? How do you keep up with meetings on scorecards for when you're you're doing your traction and setting the meetings up? And what if you're in Prague? How do you use technology to get on the computer and do a virtual, meeting? All these things, Joe, you've figured out in a way that is working well. And I'm excited to hear you share more of these things.
Well, thanks, man. And I'm excited about interviewing you on our next episode. And by the way, while you were talking, it reminded me, when I told Cris Chico we were doing a podcast together, I think he needs to be one of our first interviews.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do it. I wrote down a list of every single person that we've mentioned on this first episode. So I'm going to tag them. I'm going to say you were mentioned in this episode. So, and it's funny because you go down memory lane. We didn't talk about Sam Bell, Sam Bell and Colin back in the day, real estate investor, which now is Ross is handling. I mean, there's so many different people that you and I saw were not doing really. They didn't have this stage. They didn't have all this momentum that you see right now. They weren't traveling. They were just starting up. And we got a chance to see kind of from the beginning, businesses grew. And sometimes we got a chance to be on the inside and got a chance to see some of the technologies that were working and ones that didn't work, things that we thought were going to accelerate their business and actually took away from it. So as excited to talk about the technology and how it helps, I'm also excited to talk about, some of the things that you got to watch out for too. And you've got to set up some of those filters like we talked about. And really this concept that automation and real estate together, it is a model. Okay, this is a model. Is it one size fits all? Certainly not. I know people that they're like my mother. I love my mom, okay, but she hasn't owned a computer in her life. She doesn't know even how to turn one. She hasn't owned a computer. Okay. I had to create an email address for her, and she wouldn't even know how to text right now unless I actually forced her to text because of her grandkids. Okay. And why am I saying that? I'm saying it because my mom is a great person. I love her to death. I mean, so much respect for her, learned so much from her, but she's not going to get online. Okay. She's not going to do it. She's 72 years old. She's not going to get online. There's some people that are just adamant about not using technology. And guess what? This show is still for you. And the reason is because you need to have somebody in your team, okay, that if you're doing a business, you are going to be out of business if you don't have somebody on your team. You don't have to be the person doing it, but you need to have somebody that is in charge, a geek, if you will, on your side that knows how to do social media, knows how to do marketing, understands the technology tools, at least some of the basic ones, and Skype and some other things. I mean, you need to have someone that knows how to do that. Or I think as we move on in the future, Joe, I mean, they may not have a business. What do you think?
Well, I agree, and that one of the big reasons I'm looking forward to this show as well is because we're not claiming to know it all and to be the best guys in the world on technology. I like doing this stuff because I learn more from other people that comment on my other podcasts or my coaching students and things like that. I learn more from them sometimes, I feel like, than they're actually learning from me. So I'm looking forward to just getting the feedback from other listeners on the show, hearing, when we talk about something, somebody else is going to send us an email or a response back that says, hey, that's awesome. Hey, did you know it could also do this? Did you also look at this thing? So I'm looking forward to that stuff as well. But listen, Cory, I got to get going. I have a phone call here in a few minutes. The next episode, we're going to interview you. And so I'm looking forward to getting more into your story. You've created software. You've created apps. You've created a huge business doing real estate and teaching real estate. I'm really looking forward to hearing about your experience because you have a lot more than I do. And but guys, listen, if you want our tech toolbox of all of our favorite tools, our top 10 favorite tools, text the word tech to 38470, 38470. Text the word tech, and we will get you that PDF. It's going to be a real valuable resource. And also our website, retechshow.com or reitechshow.com. Check it out. Get the show notes for this episode. Listen to the previous episodes. And Cory, it's been good, man. It's been fun.
I really appreciate it, Joe. Last thing, make sure, and we appreciate it so much, if you will leave a positive review. And I even say, just leave a transparent review. I mean, we're doing our very best to serve you. We want to give you the very best information here, not waste your time. I know it's very valuable to you, valuable to us too. Leave us a review. It does help in a tremendous way, and we appreciate you so much for doing it. We'll have a link on our website where you can go and easily do that.
I got an idea, Cory.
Okay.
I have an iPad here. It's from 1 or 2 generations ago, and I've done this before with my other podcast at Real Estate Investing Mastery. We're going to give away an iPad to somebody who leaves a review. And so
nice. I like it.
Cory and I will talk offline later about how we're going to do this. But as an ethical bribe to get you guys to leave us a review, an honest review, we will enter your name into a drawing to win a free iPad. And whether it's this one or a new one, don't know yet. But I'm not using it, so let's just give it away, Cory, to somebody who leaves us a review. And,
I love it.
And maybe we'll do, like every month, maybe do a new gadget. What do you think? Give away a free gadget to somebody who leaves us a review. And so, but we'll give you more information about that maybe on our next episode. Hey, I'm out of here.
Maybe we could find the founders of some of these technology companies that we use, Joe. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll give us like a free 30-day trial or something we can give away to someone, and then recognize them for doing it. That'd be cool too.
That's a good idea. One of my favorite tools is FreedomSoft. We both know the guy who owns that, Rob Swanson. Maybe we can we'll have to talk to him about that. Figure something out.
We have FreedomSoft, CallRail, Slide Dial. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could talk about.
Or if we can't get the founders or the owners of the software to give us, we could just cover it.
Sure.
Like out of our nice generosity.
Absolutely.
All right, man. I got to go.
Right. See you later. All right. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Tech Show with Cory and Joe. Make sure you download Cory and Joe's toolkit by going to realestatetechshow.com or texting the word tech to 38470. And don't forget to leave a review of this podcast on iTunes or Google Play and share it with your friends on your favorite social media platforms. We appreciate you listening.